Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation. My name is Mustafa Mohammed and I'll be talking about inadequate digital and physical infrastructure as one of the core development problems of Burundi and technology policy. Burundi is a landlocked East African nation. We usually call it heart of Africa. Well, despite its beauty, it is one of the poorest countries globally, relying mostly on uh, agriculture. Well, the stark reality is a big lack of basic infrastructure like roads and power. For example, only 11% of the country has electricity, and it's even less in the villages. Low electricity in the villages means life is tough for most poor people. Also, being landlocked makes building roads and getting investments much harder. Well, now let's look at the official technology policy, the PNDTIC, that is Politique nationale de développement de technologie de l'information et de la communication in French, because the system of Burundi is in French. Well, this is like national politics for the ICT development. Um, this has big ambitions, but it's actually missing something, a clear roadmap. This is why targets like phone coverage haven't been met. And also, the problem is also fragmentation, meaning that many different groups are involved in the whole process of technology. This creates conflicts and a lack of direction, making it hard to get things done. Well, these policy programs lead to big failures in regulation and fairness. For example, the Universal Service Fund doesn't spend its money properly on projects. I think there's this thing like corruption. Yeah, mostly in many projects of this country. Uh, but also this country has big legal gaps. It doesn't have basic laws for data protection and cybersecurity, which halts the market. Well, the problem is framed as a result. When talking about framing the people and the problem, well, the problem is framed as a result of conflict and institutional fragility, but also it is also looked at through the failure of agriculture and the poor environment. You see this? The politics is out of the out of the way, right? But for the people, over 95% of the poor live in rural areas, and over half of the workforce has never attended school. What do they want? Tech, but they can't afford it. The affordability is another case. Um, well, to fully evaluate Burundi's policy, I used three lamps. First, ICT for Socioeconomic Development by Palvier and the other authors helped to check policy's potential to create capabilities and well-being to alleviate poverty. Second, I used the Anti-Politics Machine by Ferguson to examine how institutional failures, such as the non-functioning USF, undermine policy by framing political issues as simple technical fix. Finally, the promises and the perils lens from by Howlett asked a crucial question: does this digital development actually lead to substantive equality for Burundi's poverty, or does it only worsen wealth uh, inequality? Well, for the promises, following the idea of Polivia and the other authors and Howlett, the policy promises great things. Technology can transform the economy by boosting farming productivity, since that employs the majority of the people. It also promises better and cheaper service delivery like health and education. Plus, platforms can build resilience, supporting the economy during crisis and moving the country toward a better quality of life. But there are big perils. Following Ferguson, the policy becomes anti-politics machine. It uses technical fixes like fiber cables to hide deep political problems and governance failures. This is why this is why the USL fails to spend money. The political will is missing. The unintended result is not poverty elimination, but more power for state agencies like SETIC. Uh, as described by Collett, is the risk to substantive equality. Since 95% of the poor live in rural areas, the policies focused on urban centers will only worsen inequality across the country. Plus, the cost barrier is massive. Uh, data costs of the average income is a lot. If this is if this is not fixed, technology will not help the poorest or the many unskilled people outside the cities. Well, as a recommendation, looking at Ferguson, there is a need for the political problems to be fixed first. The government must make the universal It has to make the Universal Service Fund transparent, show exactly how funds are going to be used and where the money goes. This stops the bureaucracy failure. Also, passing foundational laws now for data protection and cybersecurity would be crucial to build trust and clear rules for business. Uh, on the part of digital equality and market reform, as in the work of Khaled and that of Palvia with the other authors, to achieve true digital equality, follow Khaled's advice and help the poorest. Subsidize data and devices to reduce the huge cost barrier. Also focus on ag tech. Involve technology in agriculture for rural farmers. Finally, invest heavily in digital skills training for the unskilled workforce to create new capabilities. Well, the way I see it, the focus should be on governance. Always, the government should choose qualified people because this thing is actually missing. Qualified people should be the ones to be selected for projects to stop corruption, learn from the past mistakes, analyze other countries, and reform the constitution. Yes. And the main goal is to strictly prioritize, give priority to technological development and put tight regulations regarding corruption. Well, to conclude, Burundi's digital dream has big ambitions, but it faces a tough reality. There is a huge lack of basic things like power and clear laws, making the policy fail. As a result, this is not just a technical problem, it is a political one. So, to succeed, the government must start with transparency, accountability, and urgently give the people what they want. I think that's clear. It's real digital access that everyone can access or can afford. Well, with that said, thank you very much. This marks the end of the presentation. Thank you.